Angela Rayner has resigned. Here's my hot take. Good. That's about it, really. A few more words, but not too many. Good because it had to happen. The minute that Angela tried to obfuscate things, to begin to use smoke and mirrors, it was over. It may have been over anyway, but that was it, because it was going to be found out. And not only was it not a good look for the individual who was, amongst other things, in charge of housing, allegedly, to mix up her affairs like that, it was also not a good look for someone who has made a bit of a career out of pointing the finger and calling out the so-called elite. She began to look like that more and more in the eyes of the public, and so in a sense hoist by her own petard. And I wish Angela the person no ill will. She'll be fine, actually. Just look at all the politicians who leave politics and they're made for life. Many job offers, many contacts. She'll be fine, and I'm glad, and I hope her family are safe and looked after as well. In terms of the state of the country, the state of the nation, well, things are looking a little bit desperate. Not really because Angela's resigned, just because they already were. However, right now, there's, well, a bit of pressure on Keir, but there's also an opportunity. When the BBC have written about the fact that our situation is untenable, they also point to, what might Starmer do next? Well, here's a thought, Keir. Whoever you appoint, if you decide that that post should continue, some say it should be abolished. I think it should continue. I think it's important. Whoever you appoint, try and pick someone, pick someone who is actually much more in touch with the nation. Pick someone who isn't scared of the word populism, but who's also not a demagogue. As I've said before, Keir, somebody who flip-flops around and says what he or she thinks that the people, the populace, want to hear, and then hasn't really any intentions of delivering that, is just saying it to get in power, retain power. Well, they're called a demagogue. A populist isn't in of themselves bad at all if what they say is in line with what the majority of people want, but they can also deliver it, and presuming that it isn't incredibly unethical and not moral and breaking laws, etc. So, someone like that, a figure who could unite, a figure who could resonate with the population, a figure that the population could trust and buy into, who could motivate, who could galvanise, who could provide hope and a vision that everyone, or at least most people, could buy into. That's who you should get. But will you?